How come most startups fail, even when we have more tactics and strategies than ever before? Join the bedside chat of an entrepreneurial couple as they share what it takes to create a business with ease and in flow.
Hello everybody, here's Natasha Q from the Biz in Flow Bedside Chat with
Jachym. Yeah.
Okay, that's just did you walk into an arena, you gladiator, or what?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm banging on my chest, and I'm like a little monkey jumping around.
A little monkey? I hope it's a big monkey. Big, impressive monkey.
Big, impressive monkey.
Okay,
Ooh.
This is not what this podcast is supposed to be about. It's not about a monkey pounding his chest.
No, what is it about today?
Well, today we want to carry on the episode from yesterday, right? So let's just start off with what usually happens within a client work or a client connection or call. Even if it's intake meaning we're getting a feel for what the person potentially needs, seeing whether we can help them or not, and making sure that we share a really powerful and valuable experience for them on either side, really, so that you actually know, well, what is possible here.
Yeah, and you have a good connection usually with the people, and it's a free exploration, of seeing just where the person is at and whether there's actually something that we can help them with or not.
So what usually happens? What's a good session for you, let's say? Or what's a good call or connection?
Well, a good call is when there's connection and we explored something and there was really value that the person got out of the call. That's usually a good call.
For me, it's when, yes, there's really great connection. And what do you mean by good connection? Like, what? Heart to heart? Yeah.
Heart to heart.
What does that mean?
Come on.
No barriers?
People know what a connection is. Sometimes you feel connected to something and sometimes not. I mean, that's obvious. Am I being stupid here or something?
Well, some people think that it's rather just a natural connection. You click with them or you don't. People think, well, you're just a good people person or you're not.
No. Connection is natural. Connection happens all the time. It's just you overthinking or your insecurities or anything that can get in the way. So
you're saying that usually you do have a pretty good connection with most people?
Yeah, with most people, yeah, absolutely. And it's, on the theoretical level, it's possible with every person.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because, some of the listeners might go, what? I'm just bad at connecting truly with people.
Nah.
But that could be another episode. If you're having trouble with that, or you're like, you know what? Talk to me more about it, then just head over to the website bizandflow.com and just give us a shout out, and we will cover the topics that you want us to. But anyways, back into this topic of what is a good session, what is a good connection. For me, yes, having a great connection, that means we're both present. Someone's not distracted or texting on the side underneath the table. They're really there. They're really, really there, and they're showing up, and they care. They care because they're putting the time in, and they're there for a reason. So it's not like we're just fooling around and just
No, they're showing up. They're showing up, and they are going into whatever they want to go into.
Yeah. Now, some people might say, well, I have a great connection with my girlfriends, or when I have a beer with the dudes, I have a great connection and we bring value to each other. Now, when I have an intake call or a coaching session, it's not supposed to be a good, let me just tell you everything that's wrong with my life and just get it off my chest and let's have this beautiful connection so I can just dump it on you. That's not what I do. And nope. I don't call that a good session at all. Nope. Because for me, yes, they can tell their friends or family like the thing over and over and over again, and they probably have told maybe people about it.
Yeah.
But it's just the same story over and over again.
Keeps perpetuating it.
And it's just kind of asking for people for either pity points or just like reassurance that, they should feel the way they do. It's like, oh yes, of course you feel, of course, yeah, I feel you, So yes, I have a lot of compassion and empathy for what they're going through, But I'm not just going to leave it as is. I'm going to, together with them, dive into, well, how did it become even a problem? How did it get messy? And can we get to the core of that? Can we feel into that? Can we go to the places that the intellect can't go to? Can we look for, I like to call them greater solutions. They're not the things where you're just like, oh yeah, of course, that's the thing I should do next. But no, a greater solution that literally dissolves the problem. So that's what I like to do. And that's also what I like to do is look at what's possible for them. Because for a lot of people, they don't actually realize their potential. And they haven't opened their eyes to the bigness that's before them. So anyways, these are the things that I really like about having a good session with people. Opening up their eyes, allowing them to feel the potential.
It's just
what's
about
there.
impact. When someone gets impacted, that's what I would usually call a good session. But you don't know. Like sometimes you think it was a bad session, and next time they come back and they're like, oh my god, that was amazing, I got so much out of it. So I stopped actually judging a session after a session.
By how you feel.
Yeah, it's just go show up, do your thing, and that's it. Whether good or bad, it doesn't matter. Just go and do it.
Oh, but you know what? I gotta add something else that I believe is a good session. Is when I am connected to myself. Not only am I connected to the client in the room, but I am very, very in tune with myself. And that's when I am able to be so intuitive and just share what I need to say in the moment. It literally flows, and it's very effortless. And it's also when I tune into myself and connect with myself, and I don't judge myself, I don't filter myself, I don't try to edit who I am or what I wish to do. It just hits the spot, and it just leads us to somewhere really beautiful. And so that's something that's important for me when I'm doing some good work. It seems to be the basis of the good work that I do. So yeah, that's what a good session is about, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
if you want to talk about good and bad sessions, sure. But I just personally think I usually don't think too much about in those terms.
Well, at least kind of, this is just my personal experience.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think there's maybe some value in talking about it, just to give people a picture of our thinking of what's happening and all of that, because we're so much in that world. So I think that was a good kind of looking at it.
We're kind of going like, well, that's kind of the norm of what we experience. At least this is the intention we have, at least when we start a session. Who knows how it goes? Maybe we're in a crappy mood too, but this is the intention we bring, right? To provide value, to have a good connection, and connection to myself, at least for me, right? So anyway, so that's the one flip of the coin. I kind of wanted to break that down for you because, you know, for people who are new to coaching, or even if you have worked with coaches, maybe they just work in a completely different way, and they don't care about grounding and change work, and they're focused on tactics. But so this is kind of where we're coming from. So carrying on from the episode yesterday, what happened?
What do you mean, what happened?
Well, why was it so different?
The session?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was very clear that there was no client in the room. There was not... The person didn't come with the feeling of, I want to change something, I want to do something, I want some input on something. It was more like, oh, well, maybe you have something to add from the workshop, just tell me or show me what you got or something like that. And that's just, for me, that's like, hey, I'm here to serve you. If you have something that you want input on or that you want to look at that we can do for you, then let's go. But that sentence right there, you know, show me what you got or something like that, hey, that's not a client for me. So in that moment, I would have ended the call. I was pretty much ready to end the call and be like, yeah, well, then go and, you know, live your life, and that's great. But then you came in.
Well, it's interesting because we experience that particular session slightly differently. Do you want to kind of go into that? Because maybe it just shows our different style in which we bring what we have. Does that make sense?
Go ahead.
Because for me, yes, I wouldn't say it was very conscious at the beginning, but I did feel like, okay, it's quite unnatural. And if you haven't listened to the previous episode, please do now, because it'll make more sense. It didn't quite make sense, the exact things that she was saying. Okay? And what I mean by that is that we weren't trying to stir the pot. We were just honestly quite neutral and trying to just help, because she agreed to do a session with us, right?
To have a follow-up call.
Yeah, exactly. But then it felt like I was led on this little pony ride to look at the great accomplishments, and not even accomplishments, just like the great qualities of her. It's like a little Disneyland, like, look, I'm great, I'm strong, I'm confident, and my past is great, and I know my future, and I know what to do, and I'm so strong. And I'm like, what is this pony ride? And I'm just getting pulled on this pony ride. I'm like, what is this pony ride? Like, this is extremely unnatural. It's like, why am I taken around to here? And it really felt like I was being pounded, like, in my head. Like, did you get it yet? I'm very strong, I'm very confident. I'm like, why am I being communicated to in this way? Why am I told and reinforced again and again of how strong she believes she is? I'm just like, strange. But then over time, I just got more and more, like, my heart was racing. I was just like, this is incredibly uncomfortable. And, in a natural coaching session, just like we did, we hear things that a client says or the person in the room says, and then we reflect back either with a question or what we feel, what we see, what we hear. Now, whenever we had a question, either you or me, and we asked it because we felt there was some depth to go towards, it was the strangest reaction. Because she would say, like, oh, that's a good question. Like, oh, you got, like, she didn't say this, but it was like, oh, yeah, you got me there. Okay, well, if that's the question, then this is my answer. So I was just like, well, usually we are co-creating. We're helping one another reach a goal together. And I'm like, why does it feel like somehow it seems like I'm challenging her? Or my questions pose as this threat that she needs to then kind of punch back and tackle back at me. And I'm just like, this is not a usual feeling that I have when I work with my clients. And I thought that was strange too. And so I just gotta say, there were just so many ways in which I thought that there was this sense of just being so righteous, like, she's the teacher in the room, like, there's nothing we can say that not only can impress her, but it's like even new to her, right? Or is even value to her. And it just felt like, well, what are we even doing here?
Absolutely.
But at some point, I picked up on some incongruencies in what she was saying, because she was saying so much, and the greatness, the little pony ride, at some point it literally broke. Like, the pony ride just, like, fell apart. Because I was like, okay, can I just pause you for a second? Because what you said 3 sentences ago is exact opposite of what you're saying now. Like, you can't, what is that about? And I was genuinely very curious, like, how does that even work? Like, in your brain. Like, because everything she said was with such force. And then of course I got a very, very, explanation and this or that, and I'm like, okay, I'm understanding it differently. And then at some point you just stepped in and you just said, is there anything that we can actually help you with? You don't want to add anything?
I thought that was quite at the beginning where I was asking her after. Basically, that's, she was telling us how great she is and all of that. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds to me like she got it all figured out. So I was like, well, is there anything that we can actually help you with? She was like, no. But that's when the incongruencies start to come in, which you picked up on. and you then went on and let that further. And for me, I was in that point when she said no, the session for me is over.
Yeah.
Like, because you come, you either want help or you don't want help. You're either in the room and you're ready to show up, you're ready to be vulnerable, you're ready to look at whatever needs to be looked at, or not. And if you're not, well, then I have no business doing anything with you in this kind of context.
Yeah.
And so I was ready to get off the call at that point. I'm like, there's no client in the room, it's a waste of my time at this point. Let her live her life, you know.
And you also have this perception. You were experiencing the pony ride slightly differently.
Yeah, for me, my bullshit alarm went off.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling like you. My heart was racing. It was uncomfortable. There was an intensity there, and so if there would have been kind of a formal coaching agreement, that's what I would have gone with, because that feeling was coming from from this kind of interaction. So there's lots of juice in there, and what I realized later, that she must be in so much pain, and she must be trying as hard as possible to keep us away from that topic for whatever that is. And that's her right, you know, I completely respect that.
How much you share, how much you don't share, what you answer, what you don't answer is free to the client. We don't push.
No.
And it's just their say. I mean,
exactly.
It's in their control.
It's in their control. When someone has signed up with me, or there's a clear kind of coaching agreement that they want help, then I would have used that energy that I felt to really kind of break through those barriers that she was putting up and those defense mechanisms that she was putting up.
You saw that like straight away. That's the difference between Jachym and I. It's just like I'm like on the pony ride, and then at some point like shit hits the fan, and I notice like, okay, this pony ride is just a weird illusion thing. Like, what is going on? And then I'll get curious. But you experienced it differently. You really almost not identify, but you have a very strong sense of what's happening from the beginning. You get it.
Yeah, I had a feeling about it. I mean, I wasn't clear, and there was no clear kind of direction, so there was not an agreement, and that's why I was holding back. And what I found very beautiful, though, is that you found a way, you know, going with the incongruencies, that you found a way that was not as not as intense as I would have gone, and as direct as I would have gone, but actually was kind of going past those kind of defense mechanisms, and in a very kind of gentle and soft way point to something. And you really said in a beautiful way how you were feeling her, and how there was some vulnerabilities and some softness and all of that. And I felt like there was a softening in her as well at that point.
Mm-hmm. Because it's really interesting when you're dealing with the mind and someone's just spinning and spinning and spinning, and they can't come down, and the ego is there and trying to keep something up. There's a level of hiding. There's a level of friggin' madness to it. It's like a little monkey that cannot stop clanging, or you know, like doing the whole drum thing. Like it's like he can't stop clashing the drums together, because like he doesn't know what else to do. So it's like frantically just doing that, you know, making the most noise possible. And this was how I was feeling it at some point. I'm just like, wow, this is extremely effortful. Nor is it authentic, genuine, heartfelt. I'm like, wow, this pony ride is just a completely made up illusion that I was just led on. And I was just like, wow, and with such force and almost aggression. Very passive aggression, but so forceful. And
the aggression was just more kind of the energy in the room. It wasn't really
no.
words or
there was no yelling. It was actually very
no.
peaceful, but it's just the feeling. Like, why is it so forceful? And you know, when someone's just trying to push something, even though their voice is, you know, steady, there's no raising of the voice, and it can't even be slow. But my goodness, there's a lot of force. Now, yes, I noticed some incongruency in the actual things that was said. But, you know, when someone says that they're confident, or that they're strong, or that they've got it going on, or they know what to do next, but you just don't feel it. You don't feel what's being communicated. That's not true. That is just not true. And so I pointed it out, and it was interesting because, of course, there was this whole case, like a whole scroll. She was, another pony ride telling me, no, she's on her way because she's doing this, and the action is this, and I was just like, wow, actually, in this moment, I don't care about what she's doing. I don't care about the progress, even though she's, concerned about progress. I'm actually concerned about how she feels. Because she says she's confident. She says she's strong. She sees herself in this way. But I didn't feel it. Nor was she embodying that. Nor did I see it in her face. Yeah, in her body. Or anything that she was communicating. Almost in like a body language. And I'm not saying I'm an expert in body language or tone of voice. I just felt this person. I was just feeling. I was just empathetic. And as Jachym said, still there was a connection. Even though for me there wasn't a client in the room either. But I pointed that out. I pointed out how the feeling does not match what she was saying. And I just felt more and more as I kind of went there. And I want to emphasize that at no point did she even tell me she was hurting.
No.
And at some point she actually said that something happened. I didn't even get it. Like, I was just like, oh, really? Like, when Jachym and I were catching up, I totally missed it. So I had no clue that things were a bit of a mess. I didn't get any indication from what she was actually saying. But I just felt that she was hurting. There was so much pain. There was so much effort to keep something up that wasn't true. That's just a shell of strength. But, how strong is an egg until you hit it? Until you crack it and drop it, right? So I just had to say that. And honestly, it was more from like a human to human. Like, hey, I see you hurting. I see how there's actually something very, very soft and raw and ouchy and hurting, and that actually is the opposite of what you're saying. And I just feel that as a fellow human, from a place of care, that you're going through that right now. And I was really surprised when she actually admitted to that.
Yeah, I was surprised as well, and so I thought, well, actually, you're doing a wonderful job, and I'm going to step out of the conversation. So I said a few things.
And you actually asked, well, do we want to go further with this, with what we have identified here, what we have picked up on? And her answer was no, I'm not ready to share.
You asked that. I already stepped out of the conversation. I said in the conversation that you have to be careful not to identify or take the identity on of the strong person, all of that, and use it as a defense. And then I said, I think it's better for you to continue on the conversation, you two, and not me, because I felt you were doing such a great job, and so I want to give the space for this to unfold further. And then you asked the question later on when I was gone, and she wasn't ready, which is completely fine. And by the way, guys, all those things that we said, they are not judgments, they are observations, and we both can relate to them. I can relate to it because I was in that spot years ago, and I was even not aware of me being hurting at all. So she's even further along the path in that sense, or has more awareness of that. I did have not awareness of that. I was in so much pain. I was pushing it so far away, and anyone bring up anything related to that, I would run for the hills, basically. So, I can relate to this kind of being in that place. And I know that if someone is in that place, well, you'll eventually come to it. You'll eventually turn around and say, okay, I think it's time to actually look at it. But no one can force that on you.
No. So, to be honest, she didn't feel ready to share with us or to unpack that with us.
Yeah.
And it's as if a window opened and then closed again, is kind of how I felt. But all I could do was just share with her that she doesn't even need to tell me in words what's going on. Or that's the thing. When you are very connected to another human being, you don't intend to have a bullshit radar, but it's there. You can see past through what the person is saying, if it's untrue, if it's just an illusion, if it's just a facade, and you feel the emotions, you feel the energy that they're going through. So, you know, none of my clients lie to me, but if someone is trying to hide something, I sense it. You sense it.
Absolutely.
And you pick up on it within minutes or seconds. And if it's something so deeply rooted and so emotional and is actually controlling how you behave and how you feel, then it's on the forefront. We feel it as fellow humans, as empathetic beings. Whether the person chooses to feel the emotions or not, it's just something else. But we feel it, and we realize that, wow, it's great pain, then let's release that. Let's unload that. Let's just, you know, not take it away, but let's figure out why it's so heavy.
And you know, this is exactly what was happening. It was this big elephant in the room that was taking up all the attention pretty much, that she didn't want to go to, but it was so dominant in the whole conversation, underlying of it, that there was no room for any other conversations. Because guys, if someone is not ready to share something, that's completely fine. We can shift topics. We can, go into something that's actually interesting for that person at that time that they're ready to do. But this was so prevalent in the whole conversation. There was just no other room.
Yeah, but to be honest, just such a heavy feeling after that call. For me, because I reached her.
Yes,
first, she was this crazy ringleader in this fake uniform pony ride person. Okay? And she led me on my little pony and showing me all the great sights of her character and of her life. And something broke. Still tried to keep the pieces together. And then I saw the human, the humanity within her, share that, opened up the window, could have been, an opportunity for change, but she wasn't ready. Closed the window, share with her that I feel her whether she wants to open up or not. I feel her, I feel it, yeah. Whether she's going to put in more effort to hide from it, I still feel it. And that I'm just going to be here if she one day actually wishes to dive in and work with me, or just to go there. But that was just a session where I don't know how to say it, just the mind just can keep up certain ideas of who you are, and it's just extremely tiring and frustrating and life-consuming to try to keep up something that's not real, something that you don't feel, something that you impose upon yourself. And that just brings a great deal of pain, of resistance, of just, when you're not living true to yourself, it's very tiring.
Absolutely, and I think you did a fantastic job to still be able to touch her and all of that. And I'm very blessed to be doing this work with you. And, my heart reaches out to this person. I'm wishing her really all the best, on the journey. Because I know if you are in a spot like this, it's quite dark and difficult and challenging and all of that. So.
Well, I'm sure she'll make it her way, but it's just a matter of, how much more suffering, right? It was deep in suffering.
Yeah, and it will lead the way. Eventually she'll get out of it.
Yeah, so we just want to show you also very honestly that, not every session turns into magic.
Oh, yeah.
And that, sometimes it's not the right fit. Sometimes there's just no room for work. And sometimes the client chooses to say no, and we're going to leave it as that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that this episode has shown you a different light on what makes change possible, and just how deeply we can ingrain ourselves in the perpetuating problem. And just the final thing is how denial is painful. Painful! Painful. So painful.
All right. Let's wrap it up. I wish you a good night.
Yeah. Did I wrap it up?
You did.
Oh, okay.
I'll wrap it up instead and let's say goodbye.
All right. So, good night, everybody. If you have a certain experience where either you also said no to help or to committing, or you were at some point where you, I guess, weren't ready, wasn't willing to take the hand, well, what changed? What happened that you did say yes? Or maybe you're still there and you just want to be in the no crowd. Then head over to bizandflow.com and find this episode within the podcast area, and then just let's start a discussion. What keeps us in the no? What makes us shut the window? And what makes you want to pursue change and accept help and, to see things as they are, no matter how tough that can be. So that's just something curious that I would like to ask you all. And yeah, really look forward to carrying this conversation with you over at the website.
Take care.
Good night, everybody, and until tomorrow.
Bye-bye.